So in this video I am going to show you how we can conduct certain data cleaning processes in RStudio. So in the last video I have shown you how to deal with null values or not available values. So if you haven't checked out that videos, please go and check that. In that video you can learn more about how to replace zero values based on average and other statistical techniques. So when you are working with large data sets, there are certain instances that the data set is not into your requirement. For an example, this is a census and statistic data set in Sri Lanka based on the smallest administrative boundary. So in here you can see there is a total population column, and in there you can see commas also because it has a 1000 separator. However, when you try to import this particular dataset into the RStudio, it considers this as a factor value. So I remember. So actually this is not a factor value, this is a integer or a number. So in this case, when doing calculations, it does not take as a number since there is a comma available. So in those instances we have to replace these comma values with a blank value, or as in here in the first example, the population of Akurana GN area is 2543. However, there is a separation of 1000 separations in between 2 and 5. So in this video I'm going to show you how we can do some data cleanings by removing these comma values and other information. There's another thing is that under the income you can see the income is given as a dollar. You have to change it, and if you import this dataset into your RStudio, it will consider it as a factor value. It does not consider it as a income value. So in this occasion you have to drop this dollar value and replace it with a blank value. So in this video I am going to show you how you can conduct certain data cleaning activities with R. So in here I have first of all I have set the working directory to my usual folder, and then here as previously I have read my CSV file which is in the lecture 3 folder, and I assign it into a census. And then here I displayed first 6 rows in the new data set. So we'll run the program up to here. And here you can see we have obtained the first 6 rows of the data set, and here you can see the total population is displayed as a float value. So when you look at the structure of the data set, you can see this has represented as a factor, and also total population also as a factor. However, we know it is not a factor, it is actually an integer value, right? So we have to filter out this data set and convert those things into the numeric values. So first of all I'll show you how we can done this. So in this line of code I am going to add a new column, write income new into the census table, and then I am looking for that particular income column which is in the census table. So and I ask the RStudio to replace it by a space likewise. So in this way you can find the dollar mark and replace with the empty space. So we'll run this code. So now you can see we have changed the total, or we have added the new column income new, and it has turned to numeric value. However, in here the original dataset, in here it mentioned as a factor. So likewise we can change the format and add another variable, another column into the same database. So in here you can see, now I am going to explain you how we can filter certain columns and get the output. Because there are certain instances when we are working with data sets, we don't need the entire data set for our analysis. So in this case, in order to minimize the cumbersome processes, we can filter the columns that we required only. So in here I have specified these columns, these 7 columns, and I am going to create a new data set or else a new table, new CSV file using these filtered columns. So for that you can first you have to specify the which columns that you need to include in the new data set, and then we can ask to create a new data set based on the filtered columns. So that is what I have done in this line of code. Or else if you want to specify to exclude those columns, you can write a separate way like this. So you can simply include the exclamation point and get the columns other than the columns in the column filtered variable. So now let's run this chunk of code and see how the new table has. So you can see now it has only the columns that we have specified. So you should remember, when you are dropping columns, it is better to drop the columns and start the cleaning of the rest the columns. And then we can also remove the incomplete cases, such as the dataset which are available, which are not available, and we can do that by using this omit function. And we have done a complete video on that in the previous video. So if you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend you to check that out, so you can learn more about how to deal with not available values in R. So now I am going to show you how you can rename these data columns. So it is very straightforward method. You just have to specify the column in here and just specify which column name should use instead of the previous one. So in here you can specify the names of the new data set, and you have to specify which column name that you are going to change, and then and here you can specify how you can change how it should be changed likewise. And finally you can print the first 6 columns if you like, and then write it into a new CSV file. So now you can see these columns have been changed, because in the previously it was province underscore NA, district underscore NA likewise. So now you can see it has changed to a more readable manner, and I have saved this into the new changed CSV and exported it to my working directory. So when you go to that, you can see it has been exported into my hard drive. So when you open it, you can see the filtered and clear database here. So one more thing is that you might be wondering how the dollar mark is available since we have already changed the and dropped the dollar mark. The reason is that I have specified the wrong column name for that when we are specifying the required or as the correct one. So we have to specify not this variable but the income new. So we'll run this chunk of code again because I have opened it. Okay, run again. So now you can see the first 6 rows of the first 6 rows of this table, and it has given us the correct way. So in the same way you can clean these as well, because I'm not going to waste time explaining how to clean these commas as well. So you can follow the same method that I have utilized for the filtering or the dropping the dollar mark of this income column. So